1983 as a freshman Congresswoman, and here we are again some 34 years later. Congresswoman Kaptur has gone from a freshman to the senior-most woman in the U.S. House of Representatives and the longest-serving woman from Ohio in history. Currently serving her 18th term in the House, she's ranked among the most senior members of the 115th Congress. She is the second longest serving current member on the House Appropriations Committee. Over those 34 years, she has accomplished much for Ohioans, its veterans, as well as those of our beloved country. One that jumps out is appropriate for today. Congresswoman Kaptur was instrumental in authoring the bill that created the U.S. National World War II Memorial. On December 10, 1987, Congresswoman Kaptur introduced the World War II Memorial Act to the House of Representatives. The legislation authorized the American Battle Monuments Commission to establish a World War II memorial. However, as the bill was not voted on before the end of the session, it failed to be enacted into law. She introduced similar legislation in 1989 and 1991, but these bills also failed to become law. Not to give up, she again introduced legislation for the fourth time on January 27, 1993. This time, the legislation was voted on and it passed the House on May 10, 1993. After a comparable bill was passed in the U.S. Senate, President Bill Clinton signed the bill into law on May 25, 1993. And on Memorial Day, May 29, 2004, the memorial dedication ceremony took place. During the dedication, Congresswoman Kaptur said that she felt a great sense of fulfillment, that the memorial was finally built. This generation was the most unselfish American has ever seen, she said. They never asked anybody for anything in return. Indeed, she was always a champion of cause for America's veterans. She has secured funding for a new regional VA healthcare facility in Toledo, as well as a study by Cleveland Case Western Reserve University of the mental health challenges that often affect our warriors returning from combat. Councilwoman Kaptur has been honored by the Veteran of Foreign Wars with their Covenant Americanism Award. She is also the only woman ever to receive the American Prisoner of War Bob Wire Award for her commitment to veterans. Please join me in welcoming the Honorable Marcy Kaptur, U.S. Congresswoman from the 9th District.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you. We love you too. All right. Thank you for being here today. Dear citizens of Brooklyn and Greater Cleveland, thank you for being here today. As full patriots of the Republic, on this very solemn occasion of Memorial Day 2017. For each of you, you have taken time, including the young people in the band, from your private lives to pay tribute to something greater than yourselves. You're paying tribute to the sacrifice that allowed us to meet here today freely. A free people, now one of the youngest nations in the world, still the oldest surviving democratic republic on earth. If you come to the building in which I spend a great deal of my time, the Capitol of the United States, which looks for the younger people here, it's the Wedding Cake Building in Washington, D.C. It's a very large white building with a point at the top, and no other building within the city of Washington can be higher. than that building because it represents the first article of our Constitution, the creation of the rule-making, the law-making branch of the government of the United States of America, the Congress of the United States. And on the top of that building, there is a great statue. Today we will be dedicating another kind of memorial, but on the top of that building rests a very large bronze statue, the Statue of Freedom, and she looks eastward to the rising sun. For America's best days are always ahead. Today, we remember the sacrifice it took and that it takes every day for us to remain a free people. Each of us, in our own way, is tested every day as to what it means to be a patriot. We honor those who are buried at Arlington, those who are buried at cemeteries around the world. Most recently, I visited Anzio in Italy. If our young people want to watch a movie to give you a window on the sacrifice that it takes for us to meet here today, there's a new movie out called Hacksaw Ridge about what our soldiers endured during World War II at just one location in the Pacific. It's a hard film to watch, but it's truthful. And it is that valor and patriotism that we honor here today. We remember, we commemorate, but we also rededicate. Rededicate ourselves to the cause of liberty. For every person that is here today, ask yourself the question, what might you do to build freedom forward in this modern generation? As we have soldiers deployed around the world from all of our branches, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, Merchant Marine. Here in Ohio, our National Guard, training those in the nation of Hungary and Serbia who are to be future military leaders there. What more might we do at those places where the values of freedom are being tested every single day? If you're involved in Boys State and Girls State, can you link to young people from other countries through the internet today, or perhaps by visitation here, where they don't have a single concept of how to govern, or even the idea of how to create a nation or a state within a nation that is representative? If you are involved in the Sister Cities program, Cleveland is linked to Gdańsk, Poland, a place where Russia, with its predatory intentions, caused the United States through NATO to rotate our first troops since the end of World War II into northwestern Poland. Can you, through that relationship, do more to draw our communities closer at a time of great testing, believe me? John McCain, Senator McCain of Arizona, who's in another party from mine, has stated today that Russia is more of an enemy to this republic than even ISIS. She is that predatory. What more can we do from this region, which has so many people that emigrated from the former north, central, and eastern portions of Europe? What linkages can you establish through your veterans chapters, through your high school? Where do exchange students come from? How can we influence the next generation? All important questions for us, teachers who teach other languages, through music, which unites people from all parts of the world. We heard the wonderful rendition earlier today, Deandra Barkley. What a magnificent voice. Thank you for sharing your talents with us. All of us can do something a little extra to make it easier for our troops who are protecting Freedom's Edge to function. We also have a role as civil society. I am just so honored to be here today to dedicate the new memorial here, both blue and gold, and others will speak in more depth on that. But this year we also celebrate the 100th anniversary of World War I and also the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. So we are here for serious purpose. Each of you, by your being here today, understands the price of liberty, eternal vigilance. That is our mantra, that is our mandate, that is our vision for all of the world's people, so that they can have liberty and justice for all and have a life where they can gather like this, unafraid and freely. That Statue of Freedom, look up her picture on the internet. She'll make you smile. She's a serious lady, and she sat there for a long time, through many wars, through many difficult times for our country. And America today, by your presence, proves she still prevails. God bless you, and God bless America. Happy Memorial Day.
Talking about a movie, what is it?
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Garden Club of Ohio's director, Mary Lee Zarbach.
Good afternoon. To all our military personnel, thank you for your service. It is my privilege and pleasure to join with Laurel Garden Club and all of you to witness the dedication of a Blue Star and Gold Star memorial marker. I'm here with you today to share the history of the Blue Star marker. Near the close of World War II, the Garden Club of New Jersey planted thousands of dogwood trees along a 5.5-mile stretch of highway in Union County as a meaningful way to acknowledge and thank military men and women for service to the United States. Soon the planting project was adopted nationwide, and the planted roads became known as the Blue Star Highway Program. The project was named for the Blue Star and the service flag that hung in the windows of homes of families that had a son or a daughter in military service. No billboards were allowed on this memorial stretch. Soon thereafter, New Jersey's State Highway Commissioner proposed that the program be exclusively adopted by the National Garden Clubs organization. The Blue Star Memorial marker became official in 1946. The next year, a marker was designed to identify the highways, which was a more permanent tribute than the trees. Later, 3 types of markers became available. The highway marker, which you see at rest stops when traveling through the interstates, a smaller byway marker seen in villages and city venues, and a memorial marker. There are over 65 Blue Star markers in Ohio to date, with at least 6 more being planned. While the program originally honored World War II veterans, the mission was expanded in 1951 to include all men and women who served, were serving, or would serve in the armed forces of the United States. What does that mean? It means that the marker honors the soldier, sailor, and airman that gave his life in service. It honors the veteran who went into service and came back, full or disabled. It honors today's servicemen and women who patrol somewhere in the Middle East or who sit behind a desk in a recruiting office. And it also honors the student at Brooklyn High School who sits in a social studies class or a civics class and feels this sense of duty. They also serve who sit and wait. This refers to the friends and families of servicemen and women. They are the ones who fill the void when duty calls. They are the ones who support their loved ones and count the days until they come home. And some of them are Garden Club members who began the Blue Star Memorial Marker Program and continue it today. Thank you to Laurel Garden Club and for all your kind work and generosity to dedicate a Blue Star Memorial Marker that is a permanent tribute to the United States Armed Forces. Thank you.
At this time, I'll introduce the Garden Club of Ohio President, Deanna Stearns.
I want to thank all of you for inviting me here today. This is a solemn occasion to remember those people, those individuals who allowed us to be here today freely and with joy in our hearts. I have found a tribute that was written by Jerry Callow. He said, "This is to all veterans for their sacrifices to keep freedom whole, because we take for granted too many things in this country, and sorry us if we ever lose it." Now, Jerry was in a veterans hospital, surviving injuries from his service to us. And these are some of his words. "In Vietnam, Korea, and World War past, our men fought bravely so freedom would last. Conditions were not always best they could be, fighting a foe you could not always see. From mountains high to valleys low, from jungle drops to desert patrols, our sons went overseas, far from their families and far from their dreams. They never wrote letters of hardships, despair, only of love, yearning that one day soon they would come home, they would resume and carry on with the rest of their lives. The POWs stood steadfast against the indignities and cruelties of war. They could not have lasted as long as they did if they had relinquished their hope that someday they would come home, they would resume and carry on with the rest of their lives. Medics, nurses, and chaplains alike did what they needed to bring back life. They served our forces from day into night, not questioning if they would survive. They mended bones and bodies too. They soothed the spirits of dying souls. And for those MIAs who were left behind, we echo this message across the seas. We will search for as long as it takes. You're not forgotten and will always be in our hearts, in our prayers, in our minds for all time. A moment of silence, a moment of summons, is their deliverance of body and soul to a sacred place that we all know deep in the shrines of our soul. In our hearts, in our prayers, in our minds for all time. Gold Star mothers grieve endlessly, endlessly, endlessly. These immortalized soldiers whose bravery abounds, they are our husbands, fathers, sons, and daughters. They enlisted for the duty at hand to serve the cause of country and land. They had honor, they had valor, they found glory that changed them forever. Men and women standing tall and proud they be, a country behind them in a solemn sea. So let the flags of freedom fly, unfurled in their majesty high, in the sun, in the rain, in the winds across this land. Years of tears has brought us here, gathering round to hear this sound. So let the flags of freedom fly, unfurled in their majesty high, in the sun, in the rain, in the winds across the land, in the sun, in the rain, in the winds across this land. God bless America.
It all actually started back when the United States entered World War I in 1917. And a young George Vaughn Siebold, who was 23, volunteered requesting assignment in aviation. He corresponded with his family regularly. His mother, Grace Darling Siebold, began to do community service by visiting returning servicemen in the hospitals. The mail from George stopped. Since all aviators were under British control and authority, the United States could not help the Siebold family with any information about their son. Grace continued to visit hospitalized veterans in the Washington area, clinging to the hope that her son might have been injured and returned to the United States without identification. While working through her sorrows, she helped ease the pain of the many servicemen who returned so war damaged that they were incapable of even reaching. But on October 11, 1918, George's wife in Chicago received a box marked "Effects of a Deceased Officer, First Lieutenant George Vaughn Siebold." The Siebolds also received a confirmation of George's death on November 4th through a family member in Paris. On Sunday, December 15, 1918, 9 days before Christmas Eve, the following obituary appeared in the Washington Star newspaper. Lieutenant George Vaughn Siebold, battle aviator, cited for bravery in action some time ago, lost his life in a flight in the air August 26th. His father, George G. Siebold, had been officially notified of his son's death by the War Department. Lieutenant Siebold was a member of the 148th U.S. Aerial Squadron. He was first reported missing in action, though a number of circumstances lead to the fear that he had been killed. None was substantial until now. However, by the failure to receive definite word, George's body was never identified. Grace, realizing that self-contained grief is self-destructive, devoted her time and efforts to not only work in the hospital, but extending the hand of freedom to other mothers whose sons have lost their lives in military service. She organized a group consisting solely of those special mothers with the purpose of not only comforting each other, but giving loving care to hospitalized veterans confined in government hospitals far from home. The organization was named after the gold star that families hung in their windows in honor of deceased veterans. On May 28, 1918, President Woodrow Wilson approved a suggestion made by a Women's Committee of the Council of National Defense that instead of wearing a conventional mourning for relatives who died in the service of their country, American women should wear a black band on their left arm with a gold star on the band for each member of the family who had given his life for our nation. The service flag displayed from homes, places or businesses, church, schools, etc., is to indicate the number of members of the family or organization who are serving in the armed forces or who have died from such service. Just like the Blue Star service flags, that represents having living members in the service. The Gold Star represents members who have died. Thus, the Gold Star and the term Gold Star Mothers, as approved to the mothers whose sons and daughters died in World War I, were accepted. They were continued to be in reference to all American military engagements since that time. On June 12, 1984, The 98th Congress of the United States granted the American Gold Star Mothers, Inc. a charter. Section 3 of the charter lists the objections and purposes for which the corporation is organized. The following articles promise a continuing commitment on a national basis, keeping alive and develop the spirit that promote world service, maintain the ties of fellowship born of that service, and to assist and further all patriotic work, to inculcate a sense of obligation to the community, state, and nation, assist veterans of World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam, and other strategic areas and their dependents in the presence of claims to the Veterans Administration, and to aid in any way in their power the men and women who served and died or were wounded or incapacitated during hostilities. The memory of those lived, sacrificed in our wars, maintaining true allegiance to the United States of America, to inculcate lessons of patriotism and love of country in the communities in which we live, inspire respect for the Stars and Stripes in the youth of America, extend needful assistance to all Gold Star mothers and, when possible, to their descendants, to promote peace and goodwill for the United States and all other nations. But shortly, during the unveiling here today in Brooklyn, let's talk about things more closer to home here. If one goes downtown Cleveland and goes over to Public Square, on the southwest quadrant of the square, you'll notice a brass tablet honoring Gold Star mothers by the veteran of foreign wars that was unveiled November 11, 1934, known as Armistice Day, or today as Veterans Day. Similar to today's ceremony of the Gold Star family's memorial marker, were you aware that the Ohio Revised Code 5533.7, which recognizes the Gold Star Mothers Memorial Highway right here in Northeast Ohio? In November 2nd of 1959, Ohio Route 82, that runs easterly and westerly direction through the counties of Lorain, Cuyahoga, Summit, Portage, and Trumbull, and through the metropolitan communities of Broadview Heights, Brecksville, Aurora, and Warren, became effectively known as the Gold Star Mothers Memorial Highway. When discussing Gold Stars, it has touched here in the community of Brooklyn, so today's ceremony is so appropriate for the families of Corporal James P. Brock, United States Marine Corps, killed in action at the age of 23 in Vietnam. Corporal Timothy A. Knight, United States Marine Corps, killed in action at the age of 22 in Iraq. Airman First Class Dennis Felton II, United States Air Force, at the age of 21. And Specialist Angel Lopez, United States Army, at the age of 27 in Afghanistan. So as Paul Harvey once said, now you know the rest of the story, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our Pollock of the Laurel Garden Club.
Good afternoon. It is my privilege to represent the Laurel Garden Club and to welcome honored guests and residents to this Memorial Day dedication of the Blue Star Memorial Marker and the Gold Star Byway Marker. The Laurel Garden Club was established in 1953 and has a long history of being part of Memorial Day celebration by planting flowers to help beautify Veterans Memorial Park. Garden clubs in Ohio continue to place markers throughout the state. So in the fall of 2016, our club decided to accept this challenge. On January 23rd, 2017, Brooklyn City Council was presented with plans from the Laurel Garden Club for a blue star and a gold star marker to be placed in Veterans Memorial Park. Mayor Katie Gallagher and Brooklyn City Council were overwhelmingly supportive of this project. Encouraged by their support, we ordered the markers on January 26th. The markers were delivered in late March, and the service department installed the blue star marker and mounted the gold star marker on a beautiful granite stone. They also built new wooden star planters for this occasion. Special thanks to our service department for helping us with this project. Our club's vision of markers being placed in Veterans Memorial Park was generously supported by Brooklyn businesses and residents. A special thanks to all of them also. According to the Northern Region Blue Star Chairman, there were 65 blue star markers dedicated in Ohio by the end of 2016. On September 25th, 2016, the New England Garden Club, Kent District, dedicated the first gold star marker. Also, last fall, a University of Toledo student sponsored by the Garden Club of Ohio dedicated both a blue star and a gold star marker at the university campus. We will be the third in the state of Ohio to dedicate a gold star marker and the second to do both together. At this time, since the markers are down there, I would like everybody, if they can, to walk down to the markers so that we can unveil them. And thank you very much for your participation today. Ladies, would you please unveil the blue star marker? On behalf of the Laurel Garden Club, I would like to present the Blue Star and the Gold Star byway markers to Mayor Captain Gallagher and the City of Brooklyn.
Thank you. I accept these markers on behalf of the City of Brooklyn, and I want to thank the Laurel Garden for all of your hard work, your vision, your determination, and especially our club president, Barb Pliski, and our councilwoman. I know that you have done a lot to make this happen, as well as the entire Laurel Garden Club, and the generosity of everyone who has contributed to this. I think this serves as a special reminder of the ultimate sacrifices that the city's fallen heroes have made, and the sacrifices of all city veterans and the nation's servicemen and women have and they continue to make on behalf of our liberties and freedom. Thank you again to the Laurel Garden Club, that we will always have this Blue Star and Gold Star memorial in our park from here on out. Join us for the remainder of the Memorial Day ceremonies over by here again.
Sergeant of the Guard, fire the salute.
Start. Mission fire. Move. Hey. Fire. Hey. Fire. Hey! Fight! Ready? Front! Please, guys. Hard!
wish to thank the Brooklyn City School and also American Legion Post 469 Rough Riders. At this time, I'll call upon Pastor Folger for the benediction.
Our Father in heaven, again, we thank you for this moment that brings us here to this place today. We realize tremendous sacrifice has been paid through the years, and even today, as we're gathered here, we realize that there are men and women across the face of this globe who are defending our freedom. While we'll have a wonderful time with family and friends this afternoon, they're in places that are less than desirable, but they do so because they love our country and they are protecting our freedom. It behooves us, Father, today to ask your blessings upon the United States of America, upon the state of Ohio, and upon our city, Brooklyn, Ohio. We pray for our elected leaders, Lord, that you'd help them in their decisions and choices, and help us as citizens, Lord, to do our part to encourage them. Once again, Father, we ask your blessings upon our life today, and I pray in the name of my Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you the Honorable Mayor of the City of Brooklyn, Catherine A. Gallagher, for the closing of today's ceremony.
Thank you for everyone for coming out today. Before I move into the last part of our ceremony, I just want to thank all of the City Council members who attended today. Mr. Van Kirk, Mr. Tansky, Ms. Tomusko, Mrs. Pucci, Mrs. Politsky. I appreciate all of your time being here today, as well as our representatives, State Rep. Martin Sweeney, Congressman Kaptur for coming out for this special dedication, as well as DC County Councilman Dale Miller. Thanks for coming out. Also, everyone who made this day possible, including our service department, our recreation employees, John Murphy, Pastor Folger, the Brooklyn School Band for your great performance today, especially sophomore DeAndre Barkley. You did terrific. And also I'd like to thank Robert Hennings, who did the salute at John Knight's Corporal Park. Lastly, I kind of want to remind everyone that our Brooklyn police officers and firefighters will be serving a picnic over here at the Grand Pavilion. The proceeds for this goes with our Shop with a Cop program, as well as goes to the Metro Health Burn Unit. So if you don't have any plans, stop over for a great picnic lunch. Next, I'm going to be announcing all of our service members in the City of Brooklyn, and I'd ask you to stand by the flag service you represent. If you are not here today and have a family representative, if one of your family representatives could stand behind that flag. Sean Bernard, Air Force. Kyle Beck, Marines. Marcy Belaska, Air Force. Ian Joseph Bruzak, Marines. Keith Campbell, Coast Guard. Bill Cole, Marines. William Crane, Army. Douglas Doza, Coast Guard's Reserves. Joseph Farragon, Marines. Nathan Fate, Air Force. David Frost, Army. April Gano, Air Force. Matthew Haig, Coast Guard. Jonathan Hale, Army. Nick Hale, Marines. Robert Hennings, Army Reserves. Ronald Hudak, Army. Daryl Hudson. Houston, Marines. Todd Jacobs, Army. Brian Kennelly, Air Force. Jason Kinney, Air Force. Kenneth Knish, Army. Joseph Cook, Air Force. Deidre Lego, Army. Brandon Melvin, Marines. Luke Mendoza, Navy. Mike Newton, Navy. Chris Pamphel, Navy. Nicole Percival Hay, Air Force. Cody Ratliff, Army National Guard. Kyle Ratliff, Marines. Catherine F. Rock, Air Force. James Rhodes, Navy. Stacy Rhodes Myers, Navy. Dylan Rodriguez, Army National Guard. William Rodriguez, Marines. Luke Rudnitsky, Army Reserve. Walter E. Scherf III, Air Force. Eric Sefcik, Army. Christine Sefcik, Army. Adam Thompson, Navy. Dawn Marie Wadniski, Army. Dennis Williams, Army. Kent Zavodny, Army. Lastly, this was already done, but I'd like to do it again. These are the deceased members of our community that served in the military. James Brock, Marines. Timothy Knight, Marines. Dennis Felton, Air Force. And Angel Lopez, Army. Let's give all these people a round of applause. Thank you again for everyone who's come out today. We appreciate your service to everyone standing here. Thanks again. Have a great day.